Thomas Massie accusing the U.S. Department of Justice and Pam Bondi of a catastrophic failure tied to the Jeffrey Epstein files, exposing victims' names, burying powerful figures, and stonewalling Congress in real time. Tempers flared. Accusations flew, and what started as a transparency hearing turned into a full-blown cover-up showdown. Stay with me, because this exchange raises a question Washington does not want answered.
Recognized.
May I respond very briefly to her statement?
Well, I think we can do that probably on one of our members.
Okay, thank you. I don't want that to get away. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victims' lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need, that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This is how this works.
Can I have my time back? Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? This is a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to the next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out of over 4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to watch the matter.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim time when you don't,
bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's where
I want to know, at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wexner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
She didn't answer the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering.
The gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General is allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
All right, this is an example. I'm submitting these 302 forms that are entirely redacted, even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from AG Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files. That
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes?
Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent a document of 17 individuals who've resigned because of the Epstein files.
Without objection. Just want to check on how much time we have left in votes, but one thing I've learned here of late that they'll wait on this. How much time do we have? Oh, they just called. Okay. The chair now recommends.
What you just watched was not a misunderstanding. It was not a paperwork error, and it definitely was not fixed in 40 minutes. This was a full-blown meltdown inside Congress as Thomas Massie accused Pam Bondi and the U.S. Department of Justice of actively botching and possibly concealing the Epstein files. And the most disturbing part, the people harmed again were the victims. Massie walks in holding documents straight from the DOJ's own production under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And what does he show? Emails from victims' lawyers listing names that were not supposed to be released. And yet the DOJ released them anyway. Not accidentally. Because the DOJ redacted the lawyers' names, but left the survivors' names exposed. That's not incompetence. That's negligence at best and cruelty at worst. Victims started getting phone calls. Their privacy shattered again by the very agency that claims to protect them. Then comes the moment that set the room on fire. Massie holds up a document titled Child Sex Trafficking Co-Conspirators, fully redacted. And then he drops the bomb, one of the names buried inside, Les Wexner. Not tax evasion, not money laundering, child sex trafficking, and the DOJ defense. Oh, his name appears thousands of times elsewhere. That's not the point. The point is where his name appears listed as a co-conspirator, and why that document only surfaced after Massie forced it into the open. Then Bondi snaps back. She claims it was corrected within 40 minutes. She accuses Massie of pushing conspiracy theories. She even veers into personal attacks. But here's the problem for the DOJ. If it was such a simple fix, why did it take a member of Congress catching you red-handed to make it happen? And if there's no credible evidence, why are the FBI 302 witness statements, the very documents containing survivor testimony, still completely blacked out? Redaction on top of redaction. A digital black hole where accountability goes to die. Massie asks a basic question that never gets answered. Who made these decisions? Who approved releasing victims' names? Who decided which powerful men stayed hidden? And instead of answers, he gets stonewalled. Time reclaimed, questions dodged. Then, remarkably, Bondi pivots to accusing Massie of hypocrisy over an unrelated AI porn bill. That's when you know something's wrong. Because when the facts are on your side, you don't change the subject. Let's be clear about what this moment represents. This is not about Republicans versus Democrats. This is not about Trump or Biden. As Massie said, and he's right, this scandal spans multiple administrations, Obama, Bush, Clinton-era decisions, years of silence, decades of protection. And now, once again, the American people are being told, trust us. Trust the same institutions that released nude photos of victims. Trust the same agencies that can't explain why names disappear. Trust the same system that still won't tell the public who was protected and why. This hearing didn't expose the full truth. But it exposed something just as important. The truth is still being fought over. And if members of Congress have to drag it out piece by piece, while victims pay the price, then the cover-up isn't ancient history. It's ongoing. And the question now isn't whether the Epstein files were mishandled. The question is, who is still being shielded and how high does it go?